I get it, I get it. Yet another Everfest spoiler video. Enough already. Can we get some real content? I hear ya, I do. But the reality is that, from my perspective at least, there's more than a couple things to unpack here. Yes, Veld is pretty cool, and yes, the Crazy Brew shenanigans are pretty fun. But more than that, the spoilers we've seen carry a lot of implications into the thought process behind this next set. So yes, while today we are going to be talking about the new big spoilers for the next set of Flesh and Blood Everfest, because, I mean, how do I not at least reference them? The reality is that there's more to talk about than just the spoiled cards, and why I believe that what we've seen is actually far more important than simply the spoiler cards themselves.
A huge shout out to our channel members for supporting what we do here. If you want to get involved with the channel and the Dice Commando community, please consider joining as a channel member. Remember, these videos are only possible with your support. You can show that support with a like, a subscribe, and by leaving us a comment and sharing your feedback. Community first, and go Commando.
Hey there, Flesh and Blood folks. Welcome back to Dice Commando and Go Again, a fabulous cast. I'm Andrew with you here as always, and thank you very, very much for tuning in and hanging out today, talking about the new stuff, but also the what it means for the upcoming set, or what it may mean for the upcoming set. So yeah, at the end of last week, we kind of got a parting shot from LSS before they went out of the office, and they posted I believe it's the January kit. January Armory kit, which has 4 cold foils and a bunch of rainbow foils in there, as is pretty standard. But we see a couple of things going on. First off, we see big old Bravo Star of the Show as the name of the playmat. They specifically reference in there, which is interesting. We also have a cold foil hero spoiler, and it'll probably be a rare or a common, either rare or common, because we see we see red, blue, and yellow on it. Red, yellow, blue. Either way, you're up to speed. So yes, we are talking spoilers today. But as I mentioned in the intro, today's spoiler review vid is intended to be more than simply some mediocre player's hot take. Rather, I believe that the cards that we've seen in particular kind of gives us a lot of hints and kind of sets at least some implications as to what we're going to see in the set, in addition to maybe a potential design shift, or at least a design approach to it. So at the very least, that's kind of the thesis statement, is at the very least these cards kind of set the tone for the supplemental set. And I think that all in all, based just on these spoilers alone, I do think now that the set's going to be more similar to CRU in terms of kind of its tone and contents of the set. I mean, not the theme, right? And I think that, there were good people out there that I think maybe just were defaulting to thinking that it was going to be basically the same as CRU. I was not in that camp, but I think, I'm more than happy to be wrong about it, because it does seem that, I for one, I didn't think we were getting any characters. And I mean, let's dive right into it. So Valda Brightax. So 4 intellect guardian hero young with 21 health, right? First off, you see that 21 health. Oh my God, power creep. I don't necessarily know that's the case. Yeah, I mean, let's just read it, right? So whenever an opponent draws a card during an action phase, which means it could be theirs or your own, create a Seismic Surge token for each card drawn this way. Remember, your Seismic Surge pops at the beginning of your turn, so if they were to draw one during your turn, it would not pop until the beginning of your next turn, right? You would not lose it on that current turn, because during the action phase. So at the start of your turn, if you control 3 or more Seismics, you own cards you own with Crush gain Dominate this turn, which is pretty cool. And then those would, of course, so she would trigger, and then they would all pop, so you'd get the -1 cost stacking, and they get Dominate. So not too bad there, right? And I mean, she does. She looks pretty cool, right? Let's admit it. But the thing that pops to me here is that she's a counter design, right? She's really designed to, and like, who knows how long she's been in design. Maybe this is something they kind of inserted last minute to try and counter some of the stuff that we've seen out there, right? And I think that's kind of what I took away from this. Why I think it's kind of a big deal is, we may be seeing stuff out there in this set that are intended to be direct counters to something, as opposed to, what we've seen is evolutions of play styles meant to, sway the checks and balances. But if we're now seeing direct counters to stuff, because let's be honest, that's what she is, right? The card draw counter is, at the very least, it's like a Briar Ira, There are a lot of other decks that don't mind drawing a card. And it's, so actually I was just thinking 3 of a kind. So how does she read? Whenever an opponent draws a card during an action, so I would think 3 of a kind would poop out 3 seismic tokens, right? So yeah, because it's not 1 or more cards. So it would poop out 3 seismics on a 3 of a kind, right? So just putting that in perspective. So I mean, we'll have to see the release notes, right? Because we've seen in the past where things aren't, pure traditional English the way they're written, but I would imagine that would poop out 3 tokens for a 3 of a kind. That's where I would think. So so let's kind of just go through and knock on some of the notes I have, right? So I mean, first off, the fact that we've seen her implies, right? It's not for certain, but it implies that we're going to see more characters in the supplemental set itself. And again, I know that many expected this to be the case. I honestly didn't, and I figured if we did see some that they wouldn't be Blitz heroes or wouldn't be exclusively Blitz heroes, and I'm really happy to be wrong. So now somebody may be looking at this, because we actually had a discussion on the Dice Commando Discord. They're like, well, man, it's really cool that it's just Valda Brightaxe and not like Valda Brightaxe Crusher of Skulls or something like that, right? Which is what we see in a lot of others. And I was immediately on board with that, or early on I was on board with that. I was like, oh yeah, this does mean that, I was like, oh, this is really cool. It's a good design thing, right? Because if you compare to put it in context of what I'm talking about, you compare it to the CRU Blitz heroes, right? Kavdane, Trader of Skins, Kassai, Cintauri, Sellsword, right? They had the comma, they had the long thing, which implied that we were never going to see an adult version of those guys, right? Because it didn't quite fit the pattern. So I was initially on board with that, but then I really started thinking about it. And Valda Brightaxe, first last name, well, Dorinthea Ironsong is just Dorinthea Ironsong, and then the young version is Dorinthea. So she might actually be essentially the final version of this hero. So that's why I was saying that's the camp I'm in right now, is I don't think we'll see an adult version of her. I mean, it doesn't mean that they couldn't come back and do Valda Brightaxe Crusher of Skulls or something like that, right? But, or Crusher of Craniums, I guess, would be more appropriate, right? But so it doesn't mean they couldn't do that, but I'm thinking probably that she's only young, right? Which is interesting. I mean, I'll just be blunt about it, right? For the I Hate Blitz crowd people, having a set come out that dumps a bunch more Blitz-only heroes into the game should kind of shot in the arm that one maybe a little bit, but we'll see. I mean, the other nice thing about this, right, is that the other nice thing for LSS from a design standpoint is it essentially lets them kind of, because it's Blitz and it's not really the format that they quote-unquote care about as much, at least today, it does let them kind of experiment with stuff in terms of design. It lets them push design a little bit, right? I mean, she's a very clear, I mean, she's not a silver bullet in the traditional sense, but she's definitely a counterpunch to a lot of, things that we see in the meta. So if she's that slow down aggro counterpunch, it kind of lets them see how it works, push the design limits a little, granted in different formats, but it gives them a little bit of learnings from that and see how it comes out, right? Which is pretty neat. I mean, also like, Kano's doing things, and well, I mean, he certainly is drawing, but it's not playing, right? So if somebody's, just to be clear, if somebody's playing from top of the deck, that wouldn't trigger here, but you guys follow what I'm on here, right? So yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it for her. I mean, but like I said, it's not just, so she does look really, really cool, which is awesome. But there's a lot of things that might be in the next set. The last thing for me on her is a reason I'm really excited about her to see how she plays out isn't just her counterpunch type thing, but it's also the fact that as I've been very clear about, I think that the Anathos, I mean, made a video about it. I think that the Anathos type builds, like the blue pitch Anathos type builds, I think they're going to be really strong and in there for a while. And I think with Valda being a generic Guardian, it'll be interesting to see how that ports over to her, right? I mean, whether she gets her own weapon, whether she doesn't, or whether she brings a new weapon to the table, whatever. It'll be very interesting to see if she can basically plug and play that Anathos type build to kind of confirm, what the future may look like from that point of view. And that's just kind of a curiosity thing on my part, is just to see how that ports over, how it works, see if she's better than Bravo, right, essentially, or at least on, maybe not better than, but at least on par with Bravo, basically using the same strategy is really interesting to see. I mean, she may get her own specs and stuff too, or may in the future, or whatever, right? So, like I said, a lot of really cool stuff going on here with the old Cranial Crusher. Yeah, a lot of good stuff there. All right, next moving into Life of the Party. So this is a 2-drop kind of, right? So it's a 2-drop, so it'll be a 2 for 4, 3, 2. You may discard or destroy a card you control named Crazy Brew rather than pay this card's cost. If you do, choose all nodes. Otherwise, choose one at random, right? So you're definitely packing this with Crazy Brew. I know there's been some market speculation on Crazy Brew. You know, the one with the tendrils going out, which I'm lucky enough I've got a couple of those, so that's kind of cool. Don't hate to see the prices go up on that. But so 3 of the 3 nodes, you can either give it when it hits, gain 2 health, gain +2, or gains go again, right? So potentially you're coming in for, oh, hold on just a sec. Sorry about that. I had my heater on and I didn't want you guys to have to listen to that. So yeah, you have a lot of things going on here. If you can pair it with particularly Crazy Brew, which, you know, the dream play is to draw them together, but you can have it in play first, right? You could absolutely can. So it's kind of cool, right? Is it going to be, it's really cool design, right? And is this card itself going to be good or not? I don't know. I mean, probably it'll be, it's no CNC restrike, right? I mean, let's put it that way, right? But it's kind of cool and it's kind of fun. But, you know, more so than anything, I think it speaks to a lot of the design philosophy of the set, right? I mean, again, we know that at least as per their verbiage, every hero is going to get support, is what they said. Now, whether or not that actually means every class will get support, I don't know. We'll end up seeing. But they said every hero is going to get support. Even if it is every class, that's still a lot of slots being used. We know there's not a lot of, I mean, just start doing the math. There's not going to be a ton of extra space there. So yeah, we'll see. I mean, the fact that stuff like this is in there does mean that they have kind of there's some subset design that is around the Carnival thing, which I don't think is too much of a surprise. So you're going to see, right, we know we've got potions and baubles and trinkets and stuff coming. So I think this is in line with kind of that design thing. So you're going to have your own probably neutral-esque sub-theme in the set, which will probably, I mean, in order for that to happen, right, especially if they're, you know, the items and stuff will probably be one-ofs, but if you're going to have a couple cards that deal with that, then you're eating up probably 9 to 12 slots, right, within your set. So that's significant, right? And then the fact that we're adding new heroes, even if they just come in and they don't have specs, because I can't imagine they would, but maybe, right? Maybe. I don't know. So this one, there's not as much to learn on, except basically just to start kind of mentally checking the boxes on math and how the set will fill out. But it does start to give us some info there. But the Valda thing, I think, is, I mean, very, very clearly, we spent way more time talking about her. I think the Valda thing's really, really big, because it definitely changes. Again, it overturned kind of what I thought. I mean, of course, my thoughts were based on just hopes and dreams and wishes and speculation, right? But you know, they were wrong. I mean, we clearly have new heroes coming, and yeah, I mean, we could really this set could really shape the face of your local meta, right? Is probably the better way to say it, right? Because we don't hear a ton about Blitz at the top end, right? But it does drive a lot of what many of us deal with on a day-to-day basis. So this set coming out could really change things, especially if, you know, again, Valda looks directly on an Ira, looks directly on directly on Ira, directly on Briar, a lot of things there. So very, very cool, right? Will we see others like that are meant to maybe depressurize the game a little bit? I don't know. So anyway, folks, let me know what you're thinking, not just about the spoilers here, but you know, kind of in the same mindset. You know, what did you glean from this information? Do you agree with what I'm thinking or not? I mean, Valda could be the only one in the set. Probably not. At this point, if we're getting new heroes, I hope we get more, right? I mean, that's where I'm at. But again, let me know what you're thinking, what you're hoping for. Are there any small details I've missed or any other things you've picked up that can help us kind of fit the pieces in the puzzle together? But either way, spoiler season is starting soon. I am happy to announce that I got a spoiler. I'll have to go recheck the date, but I believe it's the 27th. But that's of January, of course. That's plenty away for me to give you guys plenty of notifications and let you know it's coming. But yes, I'm very happy to announce that that's planned. So far we've gotten a spoiler for every set except WTR, which is pretty awesome. So, all right, folks, that'll do me tonight. Again, let me know what you guys are thinking. Thank you, as always, for checking in. And you know what? Before we get out of here, happy holidays. I know coming up, people are going to start traveling this week. So please be safe. Please, make sure that you're treating yourself well as those others around you, right? It's a hard time of year for many of us, myself included, just to, a lot of people, a lot of noise. So make sure you're, make sure you're treating yourself well as well. So anyway, folks, thank you very much. I really appreciate you checking in. Again, have a happy holidays. Stay safe and go Commando.